All right, guys. Welcome back to podcast 16 or 7. Actually, 16 or 7. All right. So it's actually podcast 16 or 7. All right. I need to stop. All right. 16. Welcome back to podcast 16. Today, we're going to talk about what the false gospels are, right? And I'll admit, they're pretty sneaky. They really are. And it's super easy to fall into them. And, right, so there are a lot of false gospels, right? And we're going to start off with one that you might already know. And that is going to be the prosperity gospel. And basically what that is instead of focusing on, like, it focuses on what you get from God instead of what God did for you. That's basically what it is. And there are a lot of churches out there that might be like that. And here I'm going to show you how you're going to know that. So basically, if they only teach that if you follow God, then you're going to get, he's going to bless you and you're going to have a great life. If they teach that and like they only focus on that, then you might be cooked. And I'll admit it's super easy to fall into that trap. And they might teach that, like, oh, if you pray hard enough, if you're faithful, then God's gonna bless you, and you're gonna just keep giving, and you're gonna get back 10 times what you give, and God blesses the faithful. They're just gonna talk about blessings, and they're gonna, like, that's only what they're gonna talk about, right? And this one's pretty obvious to people who try to take God seriously. It's pretty easy to spot this out. But for people who don't know the scriptures that well, it's super easy to fall in that trap. So that's fake gospel number 1. Now, fake gospel number 2, I'll admit, on the outside, it seems stupid, but it's super easy to get caught up in. Like, if you've been following God for a long time, this one is super easy to get stuck into. Like, I used to get stuck into this one pretty easy. And this one is the second false gospel is legalism. And this one's super sneaky. And like I said, if you started following God yesterday and you got baptized, like, you're not going to be worried about this one too much. But like, for people who've been following God for years, this one is super easy to get caught up in. And basically, it's a combination of self-pity and like trying to earn your way to God. Basically, it's like trying to build, like, it's like the Tower of Babel. I'm trying to build my way to God, even, you know what I'm saying? And it's basically Pharisee 2.0. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like God, Jesus, like, he had a hard time with these Pharisees, bro. Like, and it's like here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing, right? The Pharisees didn't even know that they were rejecting God. I think they, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's basically self-righteousness. That's basically what this second gospel is. And I struggled with this for a long time. And it deceived me into thinking that I could earn my way to God by being a good person. And you might be like, well, that's obviously fake. Well, not to the person who's trying to do that. And it's super easy to get caught up in that. And I'll be honest, the only way out of that, God himself has to get you out of that. Like, there's no way you can get out of that by yourself because you don't think you're being deceived. Like, it's super bad. So you have to pray to God and be like, yo, God, if I'm being deceived right now, please show me what I'm being deceived by and get me out of this. Because if you don't, you're cooked. Like, you're actually cooked, bro. So that one's super deadly. That's, like, horrible. It's like, that just, like, you know what I'm saying? You cannot earn your way to God. It's not possible. You cannot. And it's super dangerous. And we're probably going to talk more about this later. And that's basically false gospel number 2. Now, all right. So basically the third false gospel. Now, this one is like the polar opposite of legalism. This one is super grace. And basically, there's a lot more people. I think there is a lot more people in this category than there is with legalism. Because legalism is more susceptible to, like, people like that have been trying to follow God for a long time. This one's the exact opposite. This one can affect people who just started their walk with God. So it's like the polar opposite. So this one, instead of being like, oh, yo, you have to earn your way to God, this one's like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting drunk. I mean, it's just a time prayer. It's not like you have to give your life to God or anything. Like that was just like a prayer, so you're good. So basically, after you're saved, you can just do whatever you want, and God's gonna be like, as soon as you die, God's gonna be like, yo, you said you claimed to be one of mine, so I guess, bro, you get to spend forever with me because you totally lived your life the way you know what I'm trying to say. Like that's basically it's like instead of using God's grace as a way to have a relationship with him, instead you use it to like do whatever you want. And I'll admit that I struggled with this one too. And I basically abused God's grace. So like, yeah, before, like I'll admit like a year ago, like I feel like I was in this false gospel where it's like, I just did whatever I wanted. Like I said I was a Christian, but deep down inside, I did whatever, I prayed, I read the Bible, but deep down inside, I did whatever I wanted. And no, it's true. And basically, a little bit later, I kind of like shifted to legalism because I was guilty. I felt guilty and I felt like I had to earn my way to God. And then now, like, yeah, months later, now I'm at like where I'm at now. It's like, well, his grace is enough. And there's nothing I can do. And like I said, Satan, he played ping pong with me a lot. Like, he would like hit me to the other side of the table and then be like, oh, well, no. And I'm saying like he'll do that to people. And he won't do it to people that are his, right? We already talked about a little bit like about children of Satan a little bit last podcast, but I think I might be sick, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, we're gonna go a little bit off topic, but it's kind of funny because like basically like 3 days ago it was like 90 degrees, and then the next day, we went down like 60 degrees and it started snowing, and I was like, bro, like this is like, what kind of weather is this, bro? Anyways, I wanted to share that. It was kind of weird, but back on topic, right? Yeah, we talked about like children of Satan a little bit last podcast, and we're probably going to continue to talk about that in later podcasts, but more on topic, right? So, yeah, those are 3 false gospels that you need to be careful about because they're yeah, when you're in them, well, yeah, when you're in those false gospels, you don't really know that you are until you have to pray to God to show you a way out. And if you feel like that those gospels, if you feel like you're in one of them, I would just pray to God to show you the truth and help you get out of that. And it's not going to be it's going to be a painful process, right? Like for legalism, it's just pure pain and suffering. And it's like you feel like you're carrying the burden of the world on your back. And then once you realize that that it wasn't your job to carry the world on your shoulders, that was Jesus's job, bro. Once you realize that, and once you realize that his grace is enough for you, you stop adding rules into the Bible that they were never there, right? Like I used to do this. For Lent, I was like, you know what? Maybe if I do all of this extra stuff, God's gonna be pleased with me. And I tell you the truth that you can't please God by trying to do it yourself. You please God by obeying him, even when it doesn't make sense, right? That's what pleasing God basically means. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, God doesn't need us; He wants us. And yeah, I struggled with legalism, and it's super easy. I mean, maybe not for you, but for me, it was horrible. It was miserable, right? And hyper grace, and it's a polar opposite, and many people struggle with that too. And I'll admit that I think hyper grace is better than legalism, because legalism, you think you can earn your way to God, right? And that's something that Jesus was completely against. You can read that in the scriptures, right? But hyper grace, you know what you're doing is, it's I feel like it's easier to get out of that one than it is legalism, but I don't know. Both are horrible, right? And prosperity gospel, that one's pretty obvious. The other two, they're not. And yes, there's other false gospels, but those 3 are pretty bad. And actually, yeah, there's one more, and this one's pretty broad. So false gospel number 4, this gospel is basically any gospel it's basically, all right, so you got Mormons, right? You got Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, all these other like outside, like we're adding stuff to the Bible that's definitely not there. So you got the Book of Mormon, you got what was it, the Quran's definitely in there. Now yeah, basically anything added to the Bible that's like they say, oh yeah, this correlates with the Bible. That is not, bro. It's not. And like, all right, if you're listening to this and you're like a Mormon and like you try to read the Bible but you have the Book of Mormon, I want you to, what I'm saying, like put down the Book of Mormon and just read the four Gospels, and don't read like the NLT version of the Bible, or the New King James or King James. Read like the version of the Bible that's like doesn't align with your viewpoints. And you might be like, well, obviously, why would I want to do that? Well, I want you to do that because you're going to see the differences between what you were taught and what it actually is supposed to say. Because, like, for example, with the Mormons and Joseph Smith, like, bro, he changed the Bible. He added stuff in the Bible. Like, you're not supposed to do that, bro. Like imagine I added the Book of Bauer or something, and it was like how in 2026 there's gonna be this guy named Bauer, and he's gonna be I don't know, the main character or something. Like obviously everyone's gonna be like, well, no, because my Bible does not mention Bauer in the Bible. That does not correlate at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds stupid, right? To add a book of the Bible. It does. And have your name on it, right? And with Joseph Smith, right? He literally added, like in Genesis chapter 50, he added like a prophecy about how he was like going to be a prophet or something like that. And like you could look at any other Bible and it's not going to mention that. But you're not going to be able to see that if you're only looking at the Bible that added that contradiction, right? And the Bible also talks about false prophets, and in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and in Deuteronomy, it's basically Moses was like, well, if you'll know the false prophet if like the prophet says something and it doesn't come true, right? And with Joseph Smith, he said a bunch of junk and it didn't happen. And I could be very broad with saying that. And yeah, I am going off topic here, but like you will know a false prophet because they're gonna say something that doesn't happen, right? And yeah, suppose there's a Book of Bauer and it's the 67th book of the 67th book of the Bible, right? You're gonna like if you're following God, you're gonna be questionable of that, and you're gonna be like, well, if there is a Book of the Bauer, right, in the Bible, obviously it's not true, because if it was, then I'm saying it would align with Scripture. And now I know it sounds stupid, right? But you'll know a false gospel, right? If you're in the real gospel, you're gonna be able to recognize the fake ones, right? But if you're in a fake gospel, it's gonna be super hard to recognize that you're being deceived. But you still somehow recognize that everyone else is being deceived somehow. And Satan, he loves pulling strings, bro. Like, he's had a lot of practice, right? He's not God, right? He never will be God, but he has a lot of practice, bro. Bro knows what he's doing. He knows what works, and you cannot beat this guy on your own, bro. Like he's not gonna attack you when you're at 100 HP. He's gonna attack you when you're one shot, bro. Like, and he knows your weaknesses, right? He studies you, bro. He studies you like an exam, bro. Like he studies you like that. Those, I'm studying for the ACT right now. I got like a 23 on that, and I'd be like, oh man, this guy's an idiot, right? Like, I'm sorry, bro. I'm not good at math. I'm not, somehow I did better on English, and I did better on English and grammar, even though my handwriting's horrible. I somehow did better on that than math. Like, I'm sorry, I hate geometry, dude. Like I hate triangles. Somehow, semi-advanced trigonometry is easier than like for triangles. I hate triangles, bro. And I want to become I don't know what God exactly. All right, enough about me, but like, You know what I'm saying? Like, Satan loves to pull the strings. Bro is really good at that. And back on the topic with false gospels, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, yeah, we could go into a little bit of denominational stuff. And yeah, that does kind of raise the question of like, all right, so my Bible has 66 books, right? But this Orthodox Bible got like 83, and this Catholic Bible got like 72. And then you start to think about, why is there 400 denominations of Christians, bro? Why are we so, why are we not, like, unified and stuff like that? And that's, like, now, for this podcast, I want you guys to know I am, I don't have a denomination, right? Obviously, I feel like I do fall in the category of, like, Protestant, obviously. And, you know what I'm saying? I just if you like, I'm not like, honestly, yeah, like, as long, like, basically what makes a Christian is, well, this is like bottom, like, this is like the foundation, right? If you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God, and that he rose and died for your sins, and that you believe in the Trinity, that's not a doctrine, that's literally in the Bible, right? You know, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, that's the Trinity. Like, the best way I can describe it, like, to like try to help you wrap your mind around it, it's like, imagine like a 3-in-1 men's like shampoo bottle, where it's like conditioner, then you got the shampoo, and then you got the, you know what I'm trying to say? Now, it sounds kind of silly, but I feel like help me like wrap my mind around it. It's like 3 people, 1 God, but you know, it's like they're God, but you know, they all make God, right? Yeah, that's like a way you can try to like wrap your mind around it. Now, it's obviously like, I don't know, like, I always felt that like that illustration made sense, but yeah, anyways, right? With denominations, right? That's basically that's what makes a Christian, right? And yes, we all have like different different doctrines and stuff like that. And what I want you to do is just read the Bible for yourself, right? Now, obviously with like Protestants, we have 66 books in our Bible, and they're all the 66 books basically, they're we got the Hebrew. It's all like the Hebrew stuff, basically. We got the Hebrew texts, right? And, you know, Catholics and Orthodox, right? They have some like extra stuff in there, like forgot what it was called. They got more than 66 books, and these books, I feel like most of them were written in like the time in between the Old Testament and the New Testament, and like I don't know, like they're just like I don't know, it's like, I don't really know how to describe those books because I've never really read them, but I don't know, for us, for us Protestants, we treat them like as like, they're like just like, it's like the extended universe of the Bible, basically. It's like, they're not canon. For us, we don't treat them as canon. They're just like extra cool stuff, but like they're not real. They're just like, it's like the folklore. It's like, I don't know, it's super weird, you know? And I'll give you an example of a book that's not canon, but it's still, there's a reference of it in like in one of the books in one of my Protestant Bible, right? You know, the book of Enoch, right? Now that book is obviously, we don't treat it as canon, right? But it's still like an interesting book written by people, right? And now it's not, I don't believe it's true. It's not, right? Now obviously, all right, I think I am going off topic with this, and we're probably going to talk about more of like denominations and stuff like that later. But back on topic with the false gospel stuff. False gospel number 4, very broad and very easy to fall into. And to summarize like all the false gospels in this podcast, because I have a tendency to keep going on I keep trying to like add more than I should, like in these podcasts. I keep going on a trail, bro. But basically, summarizing these false gospels, these 4, right? I mean, when you're in the false gospels, you're not gonna know you're being deceived. Like, that's like the whole point of being deceived, is you don't know that you're being deceived. Because if you knew you were being lied to, you would immediately be like, yo, this is not cool, bro. Like if I lie to you and then I tell you 5 seconds later that you're being lied to, you're not gonna like that. And Satan, he's never like he's not gonna just like show up in the way you would expect him to, right? He disguises as an angel of light. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you wonder, why are all the people terrified of angels in the Bible? Like, I'm pretty sure if an angel appeared to me, I wouldn't be scared, right? Because like, yeah, it's God, right? All right, so, yeah, okay, so in the Old Testament, right, some people die when they touch the Ark of the Covenant, right? So, I don't know about you, bro, but, like, maybe they were scared for a reason. I don't know. No, God's probably chill, right? Yeah, trust. Yeah, guys, God is chill. He's definitely not like terrifying or anything like that. His glory is just like I don't know, like you know what I'm trying to say? It's like maybe they were scared for a reason. Maybe like the God of the universe is actually kind of like I don't know. Maybe he has some aura. Like you know what I'm trying to say? Like, and Satan, like yeah, he's real. He is really real. And the closer you get to God, the more you're able to see how he works and how he deceives so many people. Even the people that think they're not deceived, they might actually be. And surface level, it's hard to tell, but you have to ask God for discernment. Be like, yo, God, I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't know. I really don't know what to do anymore. And I don't know who's really a Christian or is not. Because there's so many people that say they're Christians, but they're not. So God, I pray that you show me who really is a Christian, right? And, right, like if you pray for discernment, he's gonna help you he's not gonna just give it to you on a silver platter, right? He's gonna give you like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you ask God for something, right? Like if you ask God to be the fastest person alive, he's not gonna just snap his fingers and give it to you, right? He's gonna give you a pair of running shoes. He's gonna be like, yo, boy, get back to work. He's gonna give you a pair of running shoes, all right? And you might be like, well, God, this wasn't what I asked for. And he's gonna be like, of course it wasn't, but it's gonna get you there. And you have to trust God. Like you know what I'm saying? Like this whole podcast can be basically we can all point back to the just one thing, right? You just trust God and be obedient. That's basically what it really is. And that's all based on faith. Because without faith, you can't please God. And yeah, that's basically what this, you know what I'm saying? That's the root of everything. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so back on, yeah, that basically is a summary, right? With the false gospels, right? Just if you feel like you are being deceived, just pray to God and ask him to show you the truth, right? And ask him to get you out of whatever it is. And yeah, that's how you do it. So thanks for listening, guys. I keep going on rabbit trails, and I keep I keep going off topic. I don't know why I keep doing that. It's kind of funny. But yeah, hopefully this helped you out, and yeah, have a good day, guys.